So the true variant of the exotic mission Encore has revealed itself this week with the Data Runner Triumph, which states activate the Vex Gate and complete the speedrun challenge. So this is the actual version of the mission with a timer, right? Because exotic missions, they often contain a timer, and Encore did not release with a timer, but it released with a lot of secrets, right? Now, I don't know all the conditions, but all I do know is that I've completed all the acts, I've done all the secrets, and I wasn't able to activate the Vex Portal without doing like the week 1 quest, the week 2 quest, etc. I don't know the exact conditions. Somebody down below can give us a list on what the exact conditions are. But I've completed everything with the secrets of the mission, and I've completed the story. It might be just that you need to complete all the variants of Encore and get to the final week. I don't know. Right. So here's the emblem. So this is what it looks like. This is a kind of a big deal to me because you know it's a big deal with the emblems. So let's see what it looks like. To be honest with you, this emblem's cooking. It looks really good. Um, what's it called? Transient Whisperer, right? Even though Whisper's not involved, but it kind of is. But yeah, that is what the emblem looks like, and you can do this fire team or solo, but this is a solo version of the mission and completing it within the timer. The build and everything will be at the end of the video. I'll just talk over commentary with what weapons I'm using in the run, etc. So that's the intro to the emblem. Make sure that you bring Whisper with you. That is one requirement that you need to open the Vex Portal. So as we launch the mission, make sure it's on expert. I believe it needs to be, I think. I don't know the details because I'm not trying to look it up. Like I say, somebody can put down below what's the exact conditions for the Vex Portal. I've told you at the start of the video what I've did. But yeah, just somebody link that because I can't be, I haven't got the time to be going on Reddit and looking at that stuff or a video or whatever because I just haven't, I'm short on time. It's lucky that I'm even getting a video out on it today. Anyways, so you drop down here and then you're going to have Whisper. Just have it equipped already because it's going to give you full ammo with Whisper. You see this symbol and you just equip Whisper and it opens the door, which is actually really cool. There'll be a Vex Portal down there which will show you the Whisper mission, but it'll just launch this mission again, which in my opinion is something that they could have done better. And I'll talk about later why it's a good thing, but it's also a missed opportunity. So to save time, because it's a 35-minute run, and I believe a lot of people aren't going to be able to solo this in the time, like for your average or even slightly above average players. Bear in mind, I didn't. This was my first clear, which, by the way, I'm going to speed up some parts of the footage because if you've seen my Encore solo runs already, then you know this route. What's different is that there's harpies, right? But yeah, the loadouts that I used, it worked decent, but I could have used a loadout that's quicker, right? Like I say, I didn't know how long it caught me off guard on how long I would actually do this this run because there's some extra things thrown in on this mission which I wasn't aware of. So there's some VIP targets, some extra ones, and there's just some extra busy work that does creep the time up a little bit. But I've used some extra safe strategies for you to use. The only downside to it is that they cost time, some of them, and I'll explain and point them out when it comes up. But when we can save time, we will. Like, look here, with the eager edge sword there, jumping over those enemies. So the loadout that I've got here, I could have used Outbreak instead. I just had revisions here on just because I did. But if you want to use Outbreak Perfected instead, you would do this little bit, maybe slightly quicker, probably. But it doesn't really matter too much. What matters is that you've got a barrier weapon on and that you've got an eager edge. And you may as well back that up with a rocket sidearm because that speeds things up. So on screen, you just follow the route. This video is based on the assumption that you already know the route. Yeah? It's based on that assumption. What it's not based on is that the combatant side of things. That's what this video is mainly about. We actually took the wrong route, but it doesn't matter because it's a key point to bring up. Notice my super energy is 90%. We don't want it 90%, we want it 100% for when we get to the Cyclops and lasers. This is a good, easy trick for you, especially if you're on a Warlock and you're on Prismatic Warlock, that is. If you want to make the lasers and the Cyclops section easy, which, by the way, this is different to what the first variant on second variant of the mission was. So when we activate this here, we're going to do we're going to actually get the Cyclops enraged, 3 to 4 shots of rocket sidearm, then an eager edge, then super. We're then going to just use our finger snap only with Devour. So we're going to get Devour off our finger snap with our super and run through the lasers. The lasers will not kill you in this super, right? So you just keep doing it. Don't throw the nade because that's going to cost you more super. You want to have a nade and a melee at the very end here to get out of there safe. That is the best and easiest way to do the laser and Cyclops section on a Warlock. The downside is that you spend a super, which you otherwise would have wanted to spend a super at this section coming up, which is a good skip. But what I figured was, what the hell? Let's give a good, easy strategy for the Cyclops lasers, because I can see people dying there all day. And if you die once or twice there, and you're not really accustomed to Encore, you're not going to do the running time. So I made a deal with myself for you to copy that strat, and then we now need to improvise for this bit, because on my last Warlock run I used my super here to skip these ads to dunk the green thing, to activate the green thing, the Vex module connection, right? Well, we can't do that now because we haven't got the super, so we'll use a Transcendence, but it involves stunning an Overload. Now you could just stun him and run, but I actually just stunned him and killed him. But now thinking about it, I could have just stunned him and ran past. So if you want to do this stun right here, then go and dunk. By all means, go and do that. Just maybe kill an ad or two along the way with your heal clip rocket sidearm, which, by the way, yes, you should have heal clip incandescent on this rocket sidearm. There is no other roll better than that. Maybe reverberation, but I don't know how reverberation works on a sidearm. I haven't even had a chance to use it. Sounds interesting, but you want at least heal clip on there, right? But I don't want to start talking about reverberation because I haven't even used reverberation, which I maybe use it on an odd weapon in foul shape, but not this sidearm. So this section here, we want to get a turret down at one of these pillars, and you want to ignore, because the Vex boss is there, look. Don't let the Vex boss see you. Don't let the Vex boss, you know, sort of start firing at you, because it means the Vex Hydra's there longer. Right, you need to kill a portion of these enemies to get rid of the Hydra boss. Try and take the snipers as well. At least one of them. Because what you're going to find is with the yellow partition that we're going to get next, the mods, the mechanics, sorry, to the mission, sometimes it won't go in right away when you get there, because the game's slow times. So if you're sitting there trying to put in a yellow mod and snipers are sniping you, they might kill you as you try and do that. So I found it best practice just to kill them. If you've got a Transcendence, use it, but try and use it as the Minotaur spawns. See, these Minotaurs cost you time. They're literally worse than an Overload. They're not the standard Minotaurs that you will find on anywhere else in the game. These actual yellow Ultra Minotaurs teleport. Their AI is increased for teleportation, which is different to GM Minotaurs. It's actually different. I'm not on about Overload Champ Minotaurs, I'm on about the standard ones. They have extra teleports. It's unique to this mission. To stop that from happening, if you get a Transcendence Prismatic nade on them and freeze them with the turret, it'll stop the teleport. But you've got to be really good at the time and to stop them, and you'll one phase them if you just keep hitting them with a rocket sidearm. So now this is just busy work, so I don't need to commentate on you go and put this blue in here, then you go and put your blue in here. I don't need to tell you that, do I? I just need to tell you the important things. We'll get a turret down, and this is the time for super, so don't pop super before this. This is the time to pop it, because this is your time save. You want to get that Hydra down, and you want to get the champ down. I don't recommend the skip. There's no requirement to kill these champs. Yeah, but there is a requirement for the Hydra, because the Hydra spawn in the floor, which therefore you can pick up the blue. but you don't want a champ sniping you as you're skating around. I don't recommend it. Just kill him, right? Because the time it takes to kill him, right, you can start doing your busy work with your eager edge uninterrupted. Now, I haven't talked about weapons at all, really, have I? So this loadout, like I say, you don't need to use Revision Zero. It's just that I had it on. But I would recommend an anti-barrier pulse because there's a lot of goblins in this. So a barrier weapon goes a long way in this. So I recommend either Outbreak. You could use Revision. You could use Graviton Forfeit with the Call. Right, we've swapped our loadout now. So now we're going with a Arc Pulse with Volt Shot, a Bait and Switch Strand LMG, and we're going with Witherhoard. I wanted to try out Witherhoard on the Tormentor section to see how good it is. And it's decent as long as you hit your shots. But I do think Dragon's Breath's slightly stronger at the Tormentor phase. And if you don't know about the Dragon Breath strat that I showed, then go and watch my previous videos on it. I don't need to repeat the Dragon Breath strat to you because I already showed you it. This is a different strat. You can go with it if you want. You don't have to. So we'll get a turret down and then we'll get a Witherhoard shot, but it hit at my own turret. That's fine. We got our stick now. And then we're going to get a Healing Rift down. And then we're going to pop Transcendence, not Super. If you pop Super here, you are wasting a lot of time if you do that. You want to focus on the Transcendence, Nade, and Witherhoard sticking. Or on the floor if you have to. And use this piece of cover, right? Now, this Pulse Rifle, by the way, is fantastic. Why has none of you told me about the aggressive burst Pulse Rifles in PvE, the Legendary variants? Why has nobody commented on any of my videos saying aggressive bursts are kind of meta? Because they kind of are. This Pulse Rifle's fantastic. And it's got Volt Shot on it. And the reload with Eddy Current, because Eddy Current got a buff, didn't it? Whenever it did, 3-4 months ago, whenever that was. And this particular roll I'm using is very good. Right, we'll get a turret down here. We'll get a Witherhoard stick if we can, and then activate Bait and Switch with the LMG. Do some chip damage on one of his shoulders, the Tormentor. Then when the Tormentor gets quite close, we'll pop Super. Get a stick as well whilst you're doing with Witherhoard, whilst you're doing your Super. If you was to use Dragon's Breath, you would do the same playstyle, but just with Dragon's Breath. Now, somebody said on my previous video, oh, one Super will do a third damage to a Tormentor, right, with the Warlock Super. No, it won't. No, it won't. You need to add additive damage, right, to confirm it. It won't do a third damage. Not always. Right, even with Solar Fulmination and all that sort of stuff. So you want to back up your damage like I did. I know because I've actually tried to, like, not tonight, but a week or two ago with the Tormentor to do a third damage, and it's not 100% consistent because if you're too close to him, he'll debuff you. Yeah, obviously we know that. And then you're out your Super, then you're done. So do some damage, chip damage first with the Witherhoard and the Bait and Switch, and then you can do your Super when Tormentor gets a little bit close. So do you see where we stood there? That's a good place to stand. I found it by accident tonight. I actually jumped on top of it by accident. I actually jumped back and then like glitched into a wall and then jumped up. And I was like, oh, you can stand up here. So for people who want a safe-ish place in this room, because this room can be, you can stand your ground, but the barrier's annoying. So an easier way to get rid of the barrier is to stand up top, like you just saw me did. You want to get rid of that barrier first, knowing that you can now stand on the portal. You'd be better getting rid of the barrier first. Unless you need to farm super energy off the barrier, then that's different. But we're going to get our super anyways, because look at the boss's HP. We haven't done much, because we're not getting the Witherhoard sticks. So this loadout is really good. It's just all dependent on how good you are with it for the sticks, because these Tormentors and Subjugators, their hitboxes and their bodies are slim and slender. They're like Slender Man, aren't they? And like if you miss, it's a shot on the floor, and you're not doing nowhere near as much damage as what you would like. But when you do get your sticks, you're doing damage passively, and you know it's nice. But like I say, I have showed off the Dragon's Breath strat. I don't need to go over the Dragon's Breath strat again because I already showed that off. Right? It's science. It's proved. There's a video made, dated. It's on YouTube. It's there. So I don't need to go over it again. I would, if I ran this back for somebody who's of less skill, I would probably recommend the Dragon's Breath strat over the Wither Horde strat. But I'm just saying that the Wither Horde strat also works. Yeah. Also, other things work, like Darcy works, Whisper of the Worm, even at the Tormentor phase. But the Tormentor phase, I don't recommend Whisper for most players because they're gonna find it difficult to hit them crits while you're running around. You're just gonna, it's just something that's gonna happen, especially with this Tormentor. So this phase, you want a Super and Transcendence. You want to pop Transcendence first. Right? The Tormentor is now agile. But we can sort of stun lock him in that pathway there, you see. Because the Prismatic Nade, it's freezing and sort of knocking him back. Pay attention to HP, of course. We'll pop Super here a little soon. And the boss falls off map. This is so unfair. Watch this series of events. So like I said before, what did I say to you before? You can get unlucky. The boss can debuff very close. But the closer you are with this super, the better the ignitions are and stuff. You know, it's a little bit more consistent. Because it's not that it has range drop off. It's just that it's a little bit quicker to get the melee, and the nade's going to hit the boss quicker. Yeah, it'll still hit the boss when you're further away, but it takes longer to get there, right? Isn't that just common sense? So that's what I'm saying. Like, you add damage with the Transcendence, yeah, and then you go with super. But even if something bad goes wrong, like my Tormentor teleported, and then he debuffed me, that's not fair. But because of the additive damage that I done at the start of the phase, confirmed the phase anyways, because I was allowed to outmaneuver. This, by the way, sometimes happens, but not always. So this phase here, I recommend you do stand up top, like this. Now we've got a Volt Shot pulse on, so I'm going to activate Volt Shot on these bosses, here and there. But I'm going to do mainly bait and switch damage with LMG and Wither Horde damage. If you are running out of ammo and you feel as though, maybe you're just down to Wither Horde ammo and you've got maybe 2 or 3 Wither Horde left, swap to Outbreak or Revision Zero, up to you. Because they'll do massive damage for you. And it's free damage. It's backup damage. So don't be frightened to do backup damage strats on this. It all depends on how much ammo you've used on the previous phases, which I would say that most people will use more than me, because they'll be doing panic heavy on the Tormentor phases, talking solo wise. I can definitely see that, because I've had a lot of comments on my old Encore videos saying I can't get past the Tormentor phase. There's a few people said that. And I can just imagine them playing through it, spamming the hell out of their heavy, and on this phase not having any. So if you don't, you just swap to Outbreak, right? Or Revision Zero. It's personal preference. Revision Zero is really good because of its sniper mode, and Outbreak Perfected is just really good with the nanite damage and the craftable version with all the bells and whistles. So we've done decent damage here. We're at 60 minutes. Like I say, we've lost time because of this strat. Although it's good strat, we've lost time on the Tormentor phase. I haven't watched anyone else's run on this, by the way. So I have nothing. I don't have my run to compare to anyone else's. So I don't even know what the standard time would be for this. With the timer and stuff, like what time should I be on right now? See, something like the Exotic Mission 0 Hour, you've got time reference. I'm always looking at left. All right, I'm 30 seconds behind here. Oh, I'm 10 seconds behind. Oh, I'm 2 minutes in front. I'm this, I'm that. Whereas, because this is my first clear of the mission, I have no point of reference for myself on what time I should be at. So 15 minutes right now, I'm thinking, is that good or bad? And it's actually probably bad, because if you think on how long the final boss is, yeah, you can spend 20 minutes on it solo, but I have a genius strat, because my genius knows no bounds, and I have a good strategy for the final boss. Even better, well, maybe not better, but it competes with the Whisper of the Worm strat that I showed you, the DPS trick. That video, by the way, done really well on the channel. Despite my channel being, in a slum and stuff, which it kind of still is, but that video in particular done really well. The DPS trick video I showed you still works. I also received a couple of comments saying that DPS trick does not work. Has it been patched? No, it has not been patched. So if you think that it's been patched, it's something you're doing wrong. There are different variables that you might be doing wrong as a player, like leaving a goblin up, because that will then aggro the boss on you because there's a goblin left. So if you leave goblins alive, I'll point that out when we get to it. We need to skip this phase. There is mats, but on a solo timed version of this mission, you ain't going for these mats. This is all a huge time waste. It is. It's all a huge time waste. We do have a super, and you probably will too, because you'll have used it on the Tormentor, second phase, and on the final phase, um, you won't have used it, or you shouldn't have done, because you're going to be able to do a little time save here. There's an extra enemy type in this mission, and he's a Cabal Colossus, Ultra. We may as well use a super on him. Now, I didn't know what damage it was going to do, so I was sort of risking it, but he wasn't that tanky, so it was fine, it was good. So we use our super, we will go back to the map, because we need to kill a Hydra as well. That's what now you would use Outbreak for. That's why we swap back to an Exotic Pulse. You'd either use Outbreak or Revision Zero, up to you. But there's a neat little spot. There's up top you can stand to stop the aggro in one position. Because Hydras, they will shoot the last position that they saw you at. So if you're 1v1 on a Hydra round a corner, the Hydra always wins because he'll just keep going on and on and on like this. Look, and flinch and all that stuff. So there's a way of like, I didn't do it on this one, but up top, if you get the attention of the Hydra up top, the Hydra will then shoot up top. You then get a moment to shoot him from bottom, and you can go bottom and top like that. But yeah, that's that done. So we need to hurry up. The interesting thing on this mission is the secrets are disabled, I believe, I think, and the dialogue's different. It's shorter. Remember in the other missions it was dead long? Well, in this one it isn't, because they realise you're timed, which is a good, smart thing. So a lot of thought went into this mission. A lot of thought went into it. By the way, there will not be a build on this video because I forgot to record that bit, but I'm just going to give you a dim link. I think there's no excuses in 2024. A dim link's sufficient for you to look at, and then, you know, it's Prismatic Warlock. It contains buffs, it contains debuffs, all the fragments. The setup that I generally use on a Prismatic Warlock. So you should know off by heart. I'm saying that, yeah, you should probably know off by heart or a good idea of what I'm using fragment-wise. You should definitely have a good idea of that, especially on a Prismatic Warlock. I think the Prismatic Warlock build is absolutely clear. A new addition to this bit is Cyclopses. I'm going to super them, because I just use Transcendence instead for the Minotaur, because the Nade does a good job of freezing them, right? Whereas Transcendence would work awkward on the Cyclops, and I didn't feel like wanting to jump around while trying to kill the two Cyclopses because they have the 1 KO potential. So I was like, I'll super them because I don't need a super, because this entire boss room is orchestrated. I'm like a classic opera player from the 1916s. That's how this is orchestrated. Every single thing. We pop super on Cyclops because we don't need it. We don't need it for anything for ages, not even DPS. That's the beauty of it. You don't need anything for DPS. What you need is your heavy. Now I've swapped to Sleeper Simulant. This is the Sleeper Simulant DPS strat, which I didn't think it would solo 2 phase, but it does. It does, and only just, but it does. I was happy because the run before this I didn't solo 2 phase. So I was like, I didn't think it could. But you've got to be bob on with your Radiant buffs and stuff. That's why we're using Radiant on this. So there's a couple of changes as well. You get more Minotaurs earlier in the fight than what we did week 1. I know that because I knew it inside out for week 1. And as soon as I ran this, I was like, oh, we're getting more Minotaurs. We're not having to swap greens as much. The mechanic, the green thing, the petition thing, we're getting more of them. This is good. Why? Because the platforms spawn ammo. See the ammo on the floor? Well, if you take the green out, it despawns the platform, correct? That also despawns ammo. So the fight now is so much more easy for ammo now, because if you do left and right wing, yes, there'll be ammo for second phase there. This is so huge, because you're not despawning platforms because you get more greens. you get more greens, you get more area to deal with. So this exotic mission is actually really well evolved. I think a lot of you are missing the point with this. This is very good mission. The problem is the state of the game's not good, which is why people aren't looking at this good. But honestly, it's evolved really well with the secrets week upon week. My complaint is that we got the timer so late. That's my complaint, because I need a timer for the mission. It grants urgency for a video like this for me, right? That's what it does. It gives me a reason to make a video about it even more, because there's a timer. Therefore, the strats incorporated to it. What do we do here? What do we do there? Then I can make good content when there's a timer. And I did say that, didn't I? If you go back and watch my first video, I said they should have made a 40-minute timer. Well, I wasn't far off, was I? Because it's 35 minutes. And by the way, I didn't know about leaks about this mission. I didn't know anything. So I wasn't far off. In the end, there was a timer. So this is the DPS strat. If you never saw my DPS trick, we weaken the cube, the diamond, with the rocket sidearm a little bit, and then we're going to come here. You need to go around the platform and duck. The key is to duck. This will stop the Hydra from aggroing you. Then we're just going to do rocket sidearm. As soon as it gets taken down, do a sleeper shot. Just body shot if you have to. It doesn't matter on the first shot. Then transcendence. Then a radiant melee. Then you're going to do sleeper shots, which should be 97k per shot. A little bit more than that, right? Because there's nearly 100k per shot. But every time you lose radiant, do another radiant melee. Keep hitting the boss. I'm going to say that you need to hit basically all your crits. But the way I did this meant that it was harder anyways. So I actually recommend you don't solo turret phase, but I'll get onto that in a minute. So we'll get a turret down, and this is the extra VIP target in this arena, right? Which that's what we got the super for, you see. Now, if you had done a DPS phase with your super, you wouldn't have had a super for the VIP target, therefore it's harder in general. So using my DPS strat allows you to separate ammo from super, meaning that you've got one or the other for two different separate occasions. Do you see how that's better than using heavy and super for one DPS phase, which by the way can be efficient with Dragon's Breath or Parasite, especially Parasite with the burst damage. I've showed you the two-phase strat with the Dragon's Breath as well, but I actually think this is better than that, because you're even more safer, because you have something for Minotaur, whether it be Transcendence or Super, because ammo takes care of all, right, of the DPS. And bear in mind, Sniper's Meditation's up this season, right? Sleeper Simulant's almost competing with that. For this, in this unique case, I didn't say it's competing on DPS. So don't twist the words. I'm saying for this it's competing with it, because I'm comparing Whisper, that's a solo two-phase strat, and Sleeper, that's also a two-phase strat, only just by the skin of your teeth though. So Cyclops obviously always look left and right. We don't get the two middle anymore. That's fine. So it's only on the first phase, which I was pleased, because if we got two other Cyclopses between every phase, I would have failed the run probably. I wouldn't have had enough time. Obviously use the rocket sidearm, because that makes combatant areas so much easier when you've got that sidearm on, right? You can use the other one with Vault Shot if you want, the arc one if you want. But I think this one's slightly better for survivability in my opinion, even though that the other one's got Vault Shot. I generally prefer solo weapons anyways, especially if it's a heel clip one. So, but you could use the arc one. I'm not saying that you can't. I'm just giving you the distinction between the two. And that's not to say I don't use the arc one either. I obviously have and used it loads. I love it in 0 hour because of the role that I have. It's pretty straightforward when you cap and plates, of course. Get a turret down, get a couple of turrets down, because you're going to keep getting your turret back. There's no stress to have a turret up for DPS or anything like that, like my old strat. You just spam your abilities to survive. Devour kill chain on the plate, you know, do your access, and you're done. But again, if you don't want to use Sleeper, then use Whisper. But I will say with the Whisper strat, if you miss 1 or 2 crit, you won't do as good damage, right? I think sleep is going to be a bit more easier for people to hit their crit because it's a linear and there's charge time and there's time to move your reticle, especially on console. But you're not going to get flinched because of the strat. That's why we're in there. That's why we're doing the position. But again, there's a penalty to pay to everything. And what's the penalty for this? Time loss. So this run's actually really good. What's costing us time is these extra strats I'm giving you as a player to confirm the run, but it's costing time as a result. Yeah, so you pick and choose my strats on what you want and what you don't want, and then tailor it to your own run. That's what it's about. But I haven't seen anyone else use this trick. I did find out this trick, definitely, as well. I pretty much can say that I found out, I was one of the first to put it on YouTube. Definitely this trick. You know, there might be somebody in like China or Japan that knew about it, but they didn't post about it because I looked it all up on that particular day. So we have problems here. Why? I don't know why my sidearm's not doing any damage to the diamond. So if this happens, use the pulse. So that actually cost me 30 seconds because of that. 10, 20 seconds or whatever. And sleeper doesn't do damage. I was like, what? So yeah, this was like, it was not like I expected. That's fine though. We do end up getting the best. So do a sleeper shot 2 to 3 seconds after the HP bar shows up. If you don't, it will be immune. Transcendence, Radiant melee, and then go ham with crits. After every reload, do a Radiant melee. Yeah? And that will then be your damage. But I will say, if you do want to do it easier, don't do two-phase damage. See the bar where X is? Just stop DPS and just before the bar, and the entire thing at the end is easier because you're not locked into mid. I'm now locked into mid. But because my ego took over, I wanted to solo. I must solo two-phase with sleeper. I must do it. Even if it costs the run. Even if it costs me 35 minutes. The ego steps in. I have to. But for you, you don't need to. Right? You just need to get it just above the first bar and the boss goes away. The boss isn't a threat. Right now, the boss is a threat to me. So I have to use a super and there's 2 Minotaurs. But, by the way, I'm in uncharted territory. I didn't know how this was going to play at this point. But it worked out alright once I cleared the goblins and one of the Minotaurs. Because the other Minotaur didn't bother me, which I was surprised. I was kind of surprised why. You'll see in a minute. So this Minotaur keeps bothering me, keeps porting, he does. We need to, as I say, be careful here. But we need to take down this diamond as well. I'm going to try and do it while my rift's still up to the left, which it is. We have no heavy. And we have no super because we used it, so we haven't actually got a form of DPS really here. But we have got a piece of cover. So I start doing some damage using kinetic tremors to gain transcendence energy. Look at the transcendence bars. Yeah? So then I'm going to pop transcendence as a form of DPS because I have got debuff via transcendence. As I said, there'll be a dim link. I'll just give a dim link. It make my life a little easier. Like I said, I think you can accept a dim link, can't you? People clamber for them anyways as it is. So, but yeah, we're just going to use our transcendence and just sort of stay behind cover. The other Minotaurs either frozen or not bothering us. That's fine, we'll just leave him alone. But yeah, that literally was the solo one. I do think it's a missed opportunity because it shows you in the Vex Portal, the Whisper mission. I think they could have done something where you do part of the Whisper mission, maybe the boss, and then you come back to this mission and then do this mission as well with an increased timer though. But I don't see the point in why there's the Whisper mission on the portal, but then it's nothing to do with Whisper apart from that you use Whisper to open the portal, which is cool, but you're still just doing Encore, aren't you? So that's what I'm saying. And this mission could have been a hub to connect to other exotic missions. I'll talk about it another time, so this video's run out. Hope you enjoy. Thank you.